Hi, this is Erma Grego from Senior Perspective. I would like to introduce my guest this evening. First of all is Frank Heinrichs, and he's the chairman of Respect Life Committee for St. Benedict's Church. Kathy Ghilani is a past member of the Respect Life Committee, and you're the chairman of the Apostolate
Committee.
Okay, and active in Lifeline too. And Allen Henderson, you're from St. Patrick's.
Right in Canonsburg.
Uh-huh. And you have some of the same things as what we have here at St. Benedict's, and
Right.
plus.
Plus, yeah, mainly I'm the bus captain for the March for Life trip at our church.
Oh, okay. And Frank, how about you telling me something about Respect Life?
Respect
The
Life
committee.
Committee is an offshoot from a national program, and our diocese has a Respect Life chair or a Respect Life agency that circulates to all the parishes Respect Life materials, which are sermons, literature to hand out, and we structure a program after this. And in doing this, we attempt to work and to be successful in the mission of Respect Life, which is to protect all human life from the very first moment of conception until old age.
Mm-hmm. How many are there on the committee?
We have 13 people on the
13.
St. Benedict's Respect Life Committee, and this has grown. We're being very successful in our membership drive.
Okay. Ellen, how many do you have on? Are you chairman or something of your Respect Life?
Our chairman is Linda Herman. She's a younger mother with three young children, so she can't get involved in as many of the projects, but she does a lot of the communications with the parish and the rectory and the things like that, and the phone calls. And this is the first year she's going to be able to make the bus trip to Washington, D.C. It seemed like most of the years in the past, whenever the time for the bus trip that came around, she either just had a baby or she was expecting a baby. So she's going to make her first trip. She's excited about making her first trip this year. But we have about 10 steady active members who've been, we started our committee about 5 years ago, and we've had about 10 members that are dedicated and always there. And we just spoke at the masses this past weekend trying to recruit some new members, and we're hoping that maybe we'll draw some interest and add some new people. But we've held steady around 10 loyal people.
Wonderful. Well, that's a good base. I mean, and then you keep growing from there.
Right.
And Kathy, you're on the Apostolate Committee?
Yes.
Okay, and does that have something to do with the March for Life too? Or,
Well, what the Apostolate Committee does is oversee a lot of the programs that are in the church, and so if the Respect Life Committee has something that they're working on, like the March, then I try to get the word out to the other groups, like the teens, so that they have opportunity to come along on the March.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What is your mission for the Respect Life?
Well, the mission, as I mentioned to before, is exactly what the term is, which is to enhance the respect for human life. And we do this in the face of a society today that is bound and determined to destroy it at every stage. And so our mission is an uphill battle and an inspirational one at that.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it's the same mission for both churches,
Right.
or all churches.
We've heard the term used by the present Pope, John Paul II, many times, the culture of death, applying to society here in the United States, because our society seems to be progressing in that stage where there's not much respect for human life. It started with abortion, and now you see some states that are legalizing assisted suicide, physician-assisted suicide. That's a push that's yet to come. It's the idea that life and death isn't an issue that's left up to the will of God anymore, but it's got to be my decision. I have to decide whether I'm going to allow this baby to live or not. I have to decide when I'm going to die. No, I can't sit back and wait and see when it's my time to go. I have to make that decision. And that's a battle that's coming here in the future, not too long, it doesn't look like.
That's an interesting point about John Paul II. John Paul II has just recently come out after a College of the Bishops meeting, and he has said that the position and the requirement is for the lay people in the Catholic Church to become active politically and socially and on all walks of life to fight abortion and euthanasia. And so we're commissioned. This is a battle cry, and we're going to do our job.
Kathy, tell me something. One of our projects at St. Benedict's is the spiritual abortion?
Spiritual adoption.
Adoption. Excuse me.
That's the good A word.
That's the good A word, yes.
Spiritual adoption is kind of a twofold project that we do in the spring usually. One thing it does is help to educate parishioners. We go weekly and describe in the bulletin what stage the unborn baby would be in its development by month. So the first week would cover the first month, the second week, the second month, and so on for 9 weeks. And at the end of those 9 weeks, we have a baby shower. So parishioners are invited to bring in gifts or money donations, and that is in turn donated to a local project that helps women who are facing problem pregnancies, so that some of these women who maybe feel like they can't get any help, at least maybe they'd get a crib or baby clothing or something like that.
Yeah, we had a baby crib out in the foyer there.
Right, it was
was
filled with baby
Baby
clothes.
clothes.
Yes, helped
Yeah,
a lot of
so-
moms and a lot of babies.
Yeah, that was a very nice idea.
Yes, and what we do then is pray for that baby. We ask that parishioners keep a baby in mind to pray for. And you just never know what prayer can do. It might help one of those
That's
little
right.
babies get born.
Right. Frank, another project we have is billboard babies. Could you tell me something about that? And I think you have a picture of that also, don't you?
Yes, I do, and you'll see that picture. The Billboard Babies project is relatively new. We are using a Dayton Right to Life poster, which is every third or every fourth baby, and it shows these babies lined up in a row, and it says every third, and sometimes the posters will say every fourth, more recently, baby dies by choice. And then we advertise the March for Life, or we advertise our Respect Life projects. And this is a poster now that you will see outside of the Shop and Save on Pike Street in Canonsburg. It's located in a beautiful spot because hundreds and hundreds of people every day go in there and shop, and when they come out, this thing hits them right in the face, and we think it's a marvelous location. And incidentally, we're being funded in this project by the Ben's Men Club at St. Benedict's, who are wonderful underwriting angels, and I wanted to bring that out too, because they participate in everything that we do that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure the women of St. Benedict's help a lot too. We
Well,
gotta
they
get
have-
them in there too.
Yes, they have. As a matter of fact, they funded, I think, our first billboard project, I believe they funded. And that was before the Ben's Men learned that there was a need.
Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with his Billboard Babies, Alan?
Yes, I am, because with that location down there in Canonsburg was originally one that was drawn down there because St. Pat's is close by that, and we thought that was a good location for our area. Originally, the original billboard that I believe they used was along Route 19, and
Yes.
so we thought, you know, if we would get involved in getting a billboard, we wanted to get one down closer, and that was an excellent location. And again, the idea is just to put information out there where people can see it so that they can just realize it, because a lot of people, unless you go looking for information, you're not going to get information because the information is not out there. It's not talked about. It's there's silence on the subject. The media doesn't talk about it very much until something unusual happens, like, you know, a doctor getting shot by a sniper up in New York. When something like that happens, then all of a sudden the media jumps on it. You hear it on every station. You'll hear it on a local Pittsburgh station, even though it happened in New York. You won't hear anything on a Pittsburgh station about all the people that are going to go down from western Pennsylvania and take part in this March for Life. They won't show you anything about that or even mention it.
Right.
But when an abortion doctor gets shot or a clinic gets bombed, it puts
Then
it
it
on
makes
the
big
news,
high
and
headlines.
it's bad publicity for the pro-life movement, even though that's not in any way part of the pro-life movement. Those people are what you'd call renegades. I mean, they're ultra radicals. I guess in a way they think they're doing something that's pro-life, but certainly no respectable pro-life group approves of that, because we respect all life and we have no intention of killing abortionists. Our intention is to convert them.
Another point on the media coverage of the March for Life is that rarely do you see an accurate count. And in a videotape that we'd like to use a little bit later that we took in 1994, you will see the entire Constitution Avenue is filled from curb to curb, from the ellipse 3/4 of the way to the Supreme Court building, which is over a mile, with people.
Tell me about it.
And
I
they
walked
tell,
it.
and they report that as a few thousand people. So
Right.
you see that there is a liberal bias in the media that we have to also overcome. And so that's why we like to do these kinds of things.
So that's our banner in the back here.
Yes, that's the banner that we use in the March for Life.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that banner, I'd have been lost.
It's still on the subway.
Because that kept me with the group. Because if I'd have made the wrong turn, I'd have been going somewhere else. So, do you folks have a banner also that you carry?
Well, for the last couple of years, we've been following that St. Benedict's banner. But this year we have a couple young ladies that are supposed to be working on a St. Patrick's banner. So we hope to have that this year, to have our own down there.
Our Ben's Men group is going to have their banner again this year. And,
Are they?
It'll be there, so we'll have a lot of display there. Yes, that'll be fine.
But the
Good.
fact is, like Frank says, there are a lot of people down there, a lot more than,
Oh.
than the media gives credit, and you do need something to follow, like you,
You
say,
do.
where you can get
You
lost.
really
Yeah.
do, because there are so many people and everything, and it, like Frank said, it is from wall to wall, really.
Well, the
Yeah.
point of that is of keeping track of each other is that one of the objectives is to lobby in the House and the Senate, and to go and to speak up to the senators and the congressmen who are present there, and let them know what you think about their policies and their voting policies, and to make yourself heard. And this is a powerful tool, because there are many thousands of people that do this lobbying, and they count for many votes back home. And so you want to keep your group together to do this lobbying, and so it's always advisable to keep together.
Not only that, you designate certain peoples to go to the
Yes.
offices, don't you?
Well, it's been in the past difficult to get a whole group that would go, and so what we would do would be to fill out petitions in the bus on the way down, and then they would be taken by a representative to lobby. We've had a family that lobbies exclusively. They just love that activity. That I expect that we will have more lobbying this year. I think that George is going to handle lobbying from St. Patrick's. Is that right? Or
Yeah, George Sawyer, he's actually from out in Avella,
okay.
and he's the person who's in charge of the Whoosh line, which is a PCUC
yeah.
newsletter for Washington and Greene County. And he comes on our bus with us, and he and his wife go and do lobbying. They take our petitions over. And it'd be nice if everybody could go on the march and stop and visit their representative's office, but it's kind of doesn't work out
It's
right.
dicey getting that in a short
it's
time.
not
Just
yeah.
don't
feasible
have
because
time. Right.
they each have their office hours set up for that day, and most of them, their office is only open until 3 or 3:30, and by the time the march starts at 1 o'clock, unless you're right up in the very front of the march, by the time you go to get to the end, and then you go down to the Senate or the House office buildings, you have to wait in a big long line.
It's
because
time to
of
get
the
ready to go to
security.
dinner.
Yeah.
And then their offices are closing. Either their offices are closing or it's
Yes.
time to get the bus. It's hard to do both, so that's why somebody usually does exclusively lobbying while the other people go on the march.
This year we have a plan that we are going to try. We're going to take one of the buses when it gets to the ellipse in Washington, D.C., and we're going to put people on that bus who want to go up to the Shrine of the Immaculate Conception, which is a wonderful,
Oh, it's a
wonderful
beautiful,
experience.
beautiful place.
And to spend the morning perhaps there and come back to the Union Station around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they may go up a short distance and lobby or wait for us, because that's the spot that we meet after our lobbying and after the march for dinner. and then we go home on buses that meet us there at Union Station. So we're hoping to take a bus so that people who can't really withstand the rigors of a 2-mile march up Constitution Avenue will still be able to participate. We think that there are a lot of people that would love to do that.
That sounds like a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Each January and before the march, I speak to a number of groups, and when I speak to the Christian mothers especially, you know, I'll have a number of people ask me, well, you know, I'd like to go, but I can't walk that far. You know, would there be anything else we could do? Could we go to the church or anything? So that was one reason this year we thought that that would be a good option for those that have expressed interest in the past.
You're doing the same thing then?
Yeah, we're going with them.
Together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good
Our buses
idea.
all go down together, and
Oh, I know.
they keep
There's
in
a long line of
they
them.
keep in communication with each other. So yeah, we'll do that. Whoever wants to go up to the church, once we get dropped off at the march, we'll consolidate the ones that want to go to the church onto one bus, and that bus will take them up to the church.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully for some of the ones who can't physically handle that long walk.
Hey, you know,
That's
that
an
might be
option
something
for
that
'em.
I could do.
Yes, you could.
That's,
Erma, maybe you'd like to have a little bit of a thumbnail sketch on how this March for Life started.
yes, I would.
In 1973, the abortion proponents in the United States began to change the language. They changed the meanings of words, very much like Hitler did in propaganda in 1939. They changed the meanings of words. Well, these abortion proponents have changed the words such as baby, and they use a clinical term fetus, or blob of tissue. And then they've also changed other words. For instance, abortion is no longer called abortion, it's called choice. So that you see they use a technique of redefining the argument, and they use terms that people are comfortable with. Well, this all led to a Supreme Court decision in 1973, excuse me, called the Roe Wade decision, in which these people convinced the Supreme Court of the United States that the child that was in the womb was not a person, it had no constitutional rights whatsoever, and therefore the mother could have the choice to eliminate this baby because she was constitutionally protected as a person. Babies in the womb were not persons. And so we had this infamous Roe Wade decision. And right after that is when Nellie Gray started the March for Life. And she began with a little group going down to Washington, D.C., and senators and congressmen came down, and it just started as a nucleus at the ellipse, and it's been going ever since.
Yeah, I know, and they come from all over the United States,
Yes,
and
they do.
Hawaii too.
Yes, they do.
A couple of years when I went, I've seen people carrying banners from all over the United States. So it's really something very big.
Yes.
Kathy, before we go on the march and all that, I think we have like a living rosary.
Yes,
to,
we do in the
would you
church.
tell us something about that?
Sure. 3 times a year, this is another project that the Respect Life Committee does in the months of January before the march, May for Mary, and in October, the Respect Life Month. We have what we call Living Rosary, and we have everyone participate that comes to the Rosary. I'm not sure, I haven't been to the last couple, but it used to be candlelight.
It is candlelight still.
Okay, everybody gets a candle when they go into the church, and each person represents a bead on the rosary, so that we have a person saying a Hail Mary or an Our Father, whatever the turn it is for the rosary, and they line the periphery of the pews to symbolize a rosary.
It is
It's
beautiful.
beautiful.
It is such a
ceremony.
beautiful, beautiful evening.
Yes.
And that, so the church is dark, and all you see is these candles all the
Candles,
way
one
around
at
the
a time
church.
being
Yeah.
lit as
Mhm.
it goes
It's-
around.
It's an
Yeah.
inspiration when you light
It
your
really
candle
is.
to feel like you
But you're
are
part of it.
you are a bead in the rosary. You are a person in this prayer.
Right. Do you have a living rosary
Well,
at St.
I was
Pat's
just
also?
going to say
Joined
that
us.
this past Sunday evening was when they had the Living Rosary at
Well, we
St.
had ours this.
Benedict's.
Right.
And it was a joint effort this year. It was
Oh.
it was a deanery rosary, and besides the young people from St. Benedict's, there were some teenagers from St. Patrick's in Canonsburg, from Immaculate Conception in Washington. Their teen choir came down, and I believe they said from Our Lady of Lourdes in Burgestown there was a group also. So it became a bigger project with more participation.
That's wonderful.
And the group of adults on our committee have been going the last few years, and we thought it would be nice, you know, if the young people could participate too. And so that's what they did this year. They expanded it, and we were just out there Sunday evening, and it was really nice. Yeah, with a number of young people from the different parishes all taking part. And in fact, the celebrant at the service was one of our assistant priests at St. Patrick's, Father Kenneth Sparks. He's just been there for about 6 months. He's a young priest, and he's very interested in this kind of activity. He's going to be going with us on the bus next Friday, and in fact, he's going to have a mass at 5:30 before the bus leaves.
Good. Okay, so now I think we will show the tape.
Before you show that, I'd
yeah,
like to
there's
mention
something.
2 other projects that our Respect Life people have. One of them is called Mission Meals. And this is a project that was brought from Philadelphia by one of our members, Mary Spinabelli, and they pass out to all the parishioners after Mass an aluminum foil pan about this size with a lot of recipes on the bottom. And the ladies take these home and they prepare these meals and bring them back. We freeze them. And they're collected by the Washington City Mission and other agencies. And we have heard that they love this because it's a ready-made meal. But we find that on a Sunday, we will be able to be responsible for feeding 400 people. That's astounding.
Oh, that's wonderful.
In our township in Washington County, there are 400 needy persons that don't have anything to eat. And so that's a wonderful project. We're happy to be doing that. It's one of Father Donatelli's favorites. Another project that we have, and I guess this would be the last one I'd refer to, is the Opening Doors for Disabled. This Opening Doors program started in a department in the diocese, and we're working with them and developing a program to be sure that our facilities are disabled or suitable for disabled people in all respects. And we're taking surveys and having meetings and trying to find out what their needs are, and we're going to try to work them into the liturgy. There are places in the liturgy where they will be they'll be invited, because we want them to feel part of this body of Christ which we belong to. So that you could roll your tape.
Okay. So now we'll show the tape, and we'll be back with a few other guests. And so the tape should be very interesting, because it was taken when, in 1994?
It was taken in 1994, and that
30
was
degrees below zero.
that was the year when we got to the toll booth on the turnpike, and the attendant said it is -30.
That's
we went on to
cold.
Washington, and something was heating us up. I think it might have been the crowd, but it was not that uncomfortable. It probably got up to -10. And this picture this video that you see was taken during that march. And it's been condensed into a small 5-minute program, which really shows you what the March for Life is all about. And it's narrated by our deacon, Jack Layton. So you'll enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's 11 o'clock on a brisk winter morning. Our day started 6 hours ago, 250 miles away in the parking lot of St. Benedict the Abbot Church. There are 38 of us. We have come to our nation's capital on this January morning to join 30,000 others who believe that abortion is wrong, that abortion deliberately destroys a gift from God. We are here to protest a Supreme Court ruling of 2 decades ago. In the Roe versus Wade case, the highest court in our country opened the floodgates that today permits over 1 million unborn children to die in their mother's womb every year. We walk several blocks to the metro train station. Everywhere we see, there are others here with the same purpose in mind. Indeed, it is good to be among many others who acknowledge life as a gift from the Father. Our rally begins at the Ellipse. How appropriate a gathering place for 30,000 people to celebrate human life. to protest the denial of human life to the unborn. For here we stand in the shadow of the White House and the Washington Monument, two of America's most visible symbols of life, liberty, and human rights. Some will question the wisdom of our trip and our participation in this March for Life. Why do you put so much effort into an activity that seems to fall on deaf ears? 2,000 years ago, a carpenter from Nazareth walked the dusty roads of Palestine. His name was Jesus. His feet were often as tired as ours will be later on this day. Many saw him. Many heard him speak, and yet not all responded to his message. The question naturally arises, why me? Why should I participate in this protest, this march, this effort to influence public opinion and public officials? My presence, my participation won't make or break this effort. The Congress, the President, and the Supreme Court, they will pay no attention to me. Only God changes human hearts, but he uses people like you and me to make himself visible and audible in this world. He works through people like you and me to effect change. Hundreds of thousands saw part of this march on television. Thousands more saw the 30,000 of us in person as we walked the 3 miles up Constitution Avenue. In addition, we were watched very closely by several hundred policemen and policewomen who surrounded the Supreme Court building. God works in ways that we humans least expect. Perhaps just one of those thousands watching on TV, or just one of those watching in person, or just one of those law enforcement people, perhaps just one, was thinking the unthinkable, and we who walked the 3 miles caused them to have second thoughts. Maybe, just maybe, one little heart is beating today because of the people who walked on Constitution Avenue last January. Only God will ever know that. At 3 o'clock, we gather at Union Station for our 10-minute train ride back to the Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception. There, we, at our nation's shrine, will spend a few moments in prayer. One day, each one of us will be called to stand before our God in judgment. Close your eyes and imagine for a moment that it's now your turn. Your knees are knocking. You are being asked by Jesus himself to give a detailed accounting of how you spent your life here on this earth. When suddenly millions of tiny voices cry out, Brother Jesus, we who died in our mother's wombs, we who never got to enjoy your gift of life, we now want to speak out on behalf of that person standing before you in judgment. For before we had a voice that could be heard in the world, this person spoke out on our behalf. On this cold winter day in January, 38 of us joined with 30,000 others to become the hands of Christ carrying banners and signs, the feet of Christ walking down Constitution Avenue, and the voice of Jesus Christ crying out in protest, abortion is wrong, abortion is murder, abortion snuffs out the Father's gift of life. We are angry, we are embarrassed that our country's official policy permits the killing of unborn children. Won't you consider joining us in this March for Life next January?
This is Erma Grego from Senior Perspective, and my guest this evening for the second part of my program is Jennifer Rosen and Mara Higgins and David Sandy. Okay, Jennifer and Mara are from St. Benedict's, and Sandy, you're, David. David, you're from St. Benedict's.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so welcome to the program, and I'd like to ask you a few things about your experiences with Respect Life. Jennifer, how were you involved in this Respect Life?
I've been going on the Respect Life trip with my mom ever since 7th grade.
7th grade?
Mm-hmm.
Cold and all, huh?
Very cold.
uh-huh. So can you tell me some of your views about it?
I feel as a senior and going into college, it has provided a good outlook on life for me. It's provided a lot of faith in my religion.
Mm-hmm. And Mara, let me see, you're what, a leader for St. Benedict's for what?
Well, I'm one of the 5 co-presidents of our teen council. We all have a different task, and I kind of am part of the Respect Life Committee. I'm kind of the correspondent between the teens.
Mm-hmm. Have you gone on the march?
No, unfortunately, I've not been able to, but this year is going to be my first time, so I'm
Hey.
excited, yes.
Great. Okay, David. Now, you're from St. Patrick's.
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever gone on the march?
Yes, this will be my 4th year, ever since I was a
4th year.
freshman.
Uh-huh. Good. So what do you do with the Respect Life then? Do you have a capacity that you do?
Well,
something?
nothing too official. Like, I'm on our youth council, I'm the senior representative, and I just try to encourage the other teens to come along and to try and get them to go and be more excited about it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So how's it working out?
I think it's working well. I think this year will be a banner year. We always have about 10 kids go, and I'm
Good.
hoping for more this year.
Uh-huh. And that's on January?
January 22nd.
Okay, I just wanted to see if you remembered or not.
I couldn't forget.
Okay. Jennifer, you did tell me about your experiences for Respect Life, for the March
Right.
of Life. March Life, yeah. How do the CCD classes participate? Do they do any of this?
We haven't had too much participation from the youth in the past, but we've been publicizing it more and more each year. So we're hoping for more this year.
Mm-hmm. Mara, can you tell me something more about what you do and how to encourage the younger people?
Well, the Respect Life Committee at the beginning of year held an essay contest for the high school students grades 9 through 12. And I think that made the students more aware of the Respect Life Committee, I think. And I think for those that wrote an essay, it made them think for themselves what they actually thought instead of just, not really thinking about it. I think it helped them form some definite opinions on the issue.
Mm-hmm. Good. And you said you have been working with your teenagers and that,
Yes.
to go.
This year should be a good year because we have off school this year, and a lot of the upperclassmen in years past haven't been able to go because school's been so important to them. But I think a lot more are going to go this year because they don't have school, and they'll be attending. And even some of my friends and other kids in the school that aren't Catholic are coming with us because this is really some common ground in between.
Right.
And this could really be part of we express our religious differences to each other, and we get along, and we accept those, and it's nice that they're going to come with us and celebrate with us.
And it's surprising we all believe in one God, too.
Yes.
So and it's good to have the youth talk about something like that you can get along with other people and everything and still express your same ideas and everything, too. Mm-hmm. So, is there anything else you would like to, any of you would like to comment on?
Just that we need all the support we can get, and we need more and more people to make this thing happen.
And got any ideas how you're going to do that?
We've been trying to just basically spread the word in the past, but we need more help.
Mm-hmm. Prayer's a good way. Very good way.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, thank you all very much, Jennifer, Mara, and David. Thank you for coming, and maybe I'll see you there. I haven't made up my mind yet whether I'm going to be able to go or not. And then, so that's January 22nd. Oh, what time do you leave in the morning? I'm afraid to ask.
Around 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Well, actually, I think this year Father Kenneth Sparks is trying to have a 5 o'clock mass for us that morning. So I think maybe I'll slide in right before communion for that one. Yeah.
And you get back about midnight then?
Yeah, it's pretty late. So.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. And we will have a commercial right now, and we'll be back.
Only you can prevent forest fire.
And it's true. We know we
campfires with water. Make sure it's totally wet. Then stir and drown again.
We know we can count on you to do what Soapy says.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
In America, you are not required to offer food to the hungry or shelter to the homeless. There is no ordinance forcing you to visit the lonely. In fact, nowhere in the Constitution does it say you have to provide anything for anybody. Thank you for all you've given. Imagine what more could do.
One of the reasons lions roar is to warn threatening bachelor males from other prides to stay away from their young. Here, a lion cub gets a lesson in proper roaring from its father. Teaching this behavior is not just crucial to the pride, but also to the survival of the species. Just a reminder how important it is for fathers to spend time with their children.
Here's my nephew Scruff, about to run into trouble again.
Hey, Bobo, where's your video game? In here. Oh, look at this. Uh-oh. It's my dad's. You want to hold it? What'll I do?
If you get my new comic activity book, More Adventures with Scruff, you'll find out what you can do about bullies and guns. And you'll see lots of games.
Cool.
For your free copy of my new comic activity book, just write Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652, and help take a bite out of crime.
I want it. I want it.
This is Erma Grego back again with Frank Heinrichs, and he's going to tell us a little more about the March for Life. Frank?
I was inspired, and I'm sure you were too, by the participation of the teenagers.
I certainly was.
In this program, because they are really the future, and they are the lifeblood of this program. And they're so vitally involved. And it was a real thrill to see them.
It was great talking to them.
Mm-hmm. Incidentally, I wanted to mention that at St. Benedict's, during the day of the March for Life, they're going to have a devotion all day long for those persons who aren't able to make the march. And I understand Bishop Zubik is going to have a mass down at St. Patrick's also on the morning of the March for Life to start us on our way. Mm-hmm. I wanted to conclude with you, Erma, and I wanted to leave some thoughts with you concerning this issue, this abortion issue. You know, just a short time before the partial birth abortion ban was vetoed by our president, he made the statement that abortion in the United States should be rare, legal, and safe. My question to everybody is, what doesn't he understand about safe? Is the aborted baby safe? And what doesn't he understand about rare when today there are 4,000 abortions every day?
Every day.
Every day, 4,000. It's a huge industry. So we're up against it. But there's a lot of hope. In 1973, the Supreme Court destroyed America's innocence and took away our moral compass. But then God, in his infinite mercy, Erma, he acted through the humanitarian Nellie Gray and hundreds of thousands of pro-lifers and has restored that moral compass. And it points directly up Constitution Avenue. We invite your viewers to join us there this January 22nd. I've enjoyed this very much, Erma. Thank you very much.
Frank. I have too. And this is Erma Grego. Oh, and I believe that Allen Henderson will be on next with a few more little things that he has to say. So, Frank, thank you very much for coming and putting this all together. It was great.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so, thank you.
God bless you.
What do you do if you want a fire? I don't know. Jump in a tub? No. You gotta stop, drop, and roll.
If your clothes got fire, you gotta drop to the ground. If your clothes got fire, You gotta roll round and round. You just stop, drop, and roll. Get down on the ground and stop, drop, and roll. Stop, drop, and roll, baby. Be cool about fire safety.
Do you know how to escape from your home if there's a fire? You gotta have a plan. They didn't have a plan, but these people do.
Okay, in case of a fire, you and your sister are to go out this door.
Or we can always go out that way. We have 2 exits, okay?
And remember, practice makes perfect. So tell your parents, we gotta have a plan.
Be cool about fire safety. Be cool.
Math, a 4-letter word, right? Hey, you don't need that.
Why design the world's newest chips?
When you could be flipping the world's oldest burgers. Hey, wait a minute. This is math. Geometry, algebra.
No pocket protectors here.
But you're cruising without math. Yeah, right. Take a good look.
That's math staring back at you.
It's not a problem, man. It's an answer. Call NACME. We'll tell you what you need to do.
Don't you love that safe, free feeling you get in a pickup truck, Larry?
Yeah, nothing but you, me, the open road, a deer.
Yeah! The cow! Yeah! The ostrich! The village people! The village people?
You could learn a lot from a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
Especially in pickup trucks.
I didn't know the village people were doing a road tour.
This is Erma Grego back again from Senior Perspective, and this time I have Allen Henderson from St. Patrick's that would like to say a few words of what they are doing at St. Pat's.
Oh, I'd like, first of all, to agree with Mr. Heinrichs' comments about the youth participation in that. And that was one of the things that really stood out the first time I went on a March for Life, was the number of young people that are participating. There are large crowds down there. In the last few years, with the weather being pretty decent, you know, there are well over 100,000 people down there, and so many of them are youth. Everywhere you look, you see groups from different colleges, different high school youth groups. It's wonderful to see all the youth down there that are participating in this, and that's why it was nice to have youth on this program too. But I also wanted to share with you very briefly one of the activities that we've tried to take part in our group. It's something that I like to do frequently, and most of the members on our group have gone down at one time, and that is to go down before the abortion clinic in Pittsburgh, the Women's Health Center, which is on 5th Avenue. It's the largest provider of abortions in southwestern Pennsylvania. They do the largest number. And almost every day of the week, there's someone down there during the day praying or trying to offer a prayer or a comment of help to somebody that's trying to go into the clinic for an abortion. And you get a picture through the media that what you have going on when pro-life people go down to the abortion clinics is that there's violence down there, or that they're blocking the doors, or that they're trying to physically stop people from going in. And this isn't the situation over there. We're able to go over there and have a peaceful, prayerful experience. And the whole time we're down there, the group is praying and singing, and it's a beautiful experience. And there's a number of people down there that serve as sidewalk counselors that do try to stop and address people that may be heading in to the clinic, try to offer them to stop and think, or maybe ask a few questions, give them some support, just to let them know that there are other choices. Because unfortunately, the pro-abortion segment of the population emphasizes the word choice, but in reality, with these large numbers of abortions that are taking place in our country, most of them are taking place because the woman feels she has no choice. She feels that abortion is her only choice. So saying that you need to keep abortions available so the woman has a choice, it's not really true. That's not what's happening. They're having abortions because they feel they have no other choice. And we're trying to let them know there are other choices. There's people that want to help them. There's many agencies in the southwestern Pennsylvania area that provide help for pregnant mothers, for women in crisis pregnancies. There's financial help. There's medical help. There's help to put babies up for adoption. There's help if they want to keep their babies, if they want to continue school, if they want to find jobs. This help is all available if only we could let young women know that. But the experience of going down there in peaceful, prayerful service down there is beautiful. And I learned a couple lessons last fall when I went down there, because I went down in September, and the clinic's on 5th Avenue. We park on Forbes Avenue and walk over. And as I was driving down Forbes Avenue, I saw a long line of people, mainly young people. And this was on the wrong street, so I knew it wasn't for the abortion clinic. And I wondered what it was. As I got close, I saw they were all lined up in front of the National Record Mart because tickets were going on sale for Garth Brooks. And, of course, my first thought was, gee, look at all these people lined up to get Garth Brooks tickets. When I go around the corner, there'll probably be 5 or 10 people out there that are concerned about what's going on over there in the Women's Health Center. But I learned a lesson, because when I went around the corner, I saw 300 or 400 people lined up in the streets in front of the abortion center praying. It so happened that Franciscan University of Steubenville had undertaken that as one of their projects for the year, to go down there every Saturday morning. And they had 300 or 400 students down there on a Saturday morning. Instead of sleeping in, these college students were down there at 8 o'clock in the morning to pray for 3 hours and to try to counsel women and offer them help and advice. And
that would be
it was just amazing. It was just, I learned a lesson. Don't always think that things are bad, because sometimes they're not. And the one heartwarming experience I had down there also was that as I was standing there one day, a woman in her 50s came walking down the street with a young girl about 4 years old. And when she got in front of the crowd that was standing and praying in front of the clinic, she stopped, and she knew a couple of the people that are there pretty often, and she greeted them. And then she went down the line to each person there and hugged them and thanked them for being there, because she said that this little 4-year-old girl was her granddaughter, and she would have never been born because 5 years ago her daughter was on her way to that clinic to have an abortion. But there were people down there praying, and they offered her help, and she changed her mind. And she said that little 4-year-old girl is the light of her life, and she comes down there once a month to thank everybody for doing that, to show them that every once in a while you can save a life, that there is a reason for being down there, and to encourage you to keep it up and don't lose faith. And if that wasn't a heartwarming experience, I think everybody had a lump in their throat and tears in their eyes, and it was very beautiful. And like I say, it's not violent, it's not confrontational. It's peaceful and prayerful, and that's what the whole thing's about, just like the March for Life in Washington, D.C. It's peaceful and it's prayerful, it's respectful of other people's rights, it's not violent, and it's not disruptive. And that's what the pro-life movement's about, to pray for those who are on the other side, not to attack them.
You don't have to attack in order to present a point.
We have many examples of people who were involved in running abortion clinics. Even the woman who was Roe in the Roe versus Wade, she is converted, and she's now works in a crisis pregnancy center. She was one of the guests at last year's March for Life. She converted and was baptized a Catholic. Bernard Nathanson, who was one of the beginners of the pro-abortion movement to help make abortion become legal, and he ran abortion clinics. But in the late 1970s, he saw what he was really doing, and he had a change of heart and a conversion, and he became one of the great pro-life leaders in this country. He was president of the National Right to Life League. He's provided a number of videos, including the Silent Scream.
Oh,
and,
yes, I saw that.
He also has converted, and he was baptized by Cardinal O'Connor about 1.5 years ago. So they say that our idea is to pray for these people, pray for conversion, not violence. We respect their rights. Their rights to life are as valuable as everybody else's.
That's right.
So,
and prayer is a powerful tool.
Absolutely. But I thank you for having this program and making these things public, so that people can have some of this information just to think about it and see what there is, because
Plant a seed.
Plant a seed, right? Because it's hard to get the information. You have to really dig for it. It's not out there available to find really. So you have to dig for it real hard. So
Well, thank you
much.
so very much for coming.
You're very welcome.
I'm so glad that we did have St. Patrick's in with St. Benedict's, because
Thank
we
you.
are neighboring
We've been working
churches.
together
We've been
with it for
working
a few
together.
years now.
Yeah.
It goes well. It works well.
Right. I would like to thank my other guests also, Frank Heinrichs, Kathy Ghilani, Jennifer Rosen, David Sandy, and then Allen and Mara Higgins. Did I forget anybody?
I think I covered
Well,
it all.
anyhow, thank you all for being here this evening. And this is Erma Grego from Senior Perspective.